Among those concerned about the summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un are activists in Massachusetts. Before the collapse of negotiations announced today, the talks were focused on nuclear weapons, economic sanctions, and the lack of a complete resolution to the Korean War. Our guest is a Korean American with a multi-generational group trying to advance reconciliation. She's also a lecturer in languages and literature at Boston College. We'd like to welcome a member of the Massachusetts Korea Peace Campaign, Seung Hee Jeon. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
First of all, start with today's news. I guess, at least according to the American media, President Trump saying these talks are going nowhere. It doesn't look good. How do you feel about this?
Well, we are disappointed. Our group members are disappointed. I am disappointed. However, the process has been going on, and we are hopeful that it will continue to go on. These talks are important, but at the background of it is the Korean people's desire and wish, hope for reconciliation. And that has taken us here today. So as long as Korean people want it, work toward it, this is just a small setback.
Well, based on people you know here, your own feelings, and maybe people you might see when you go to South Korea, what do people there want?
You probably are aware that the Korean War ended in 1953, 66 years ago, in armistice, not peace treaty. The agreement, armistice agreement, actually articulate that within 3 months of its signing, a peace talk will resume, and they will find a permanent solution for peace. It has yet to happen, and we are hoping that will happen soon. South Koreans have gone through many different regimes over the course of past 60 years, 70 years. Some regimes didn't want to push this too much forward. However, recently, much more democratically elected president has a huge support from Korean people for this process, peace process, and he has met with Kim Jong-un 3 times already, and both Koreas declared that they would stop all hostile activities against each other, which has been maintained. So Korean people have been very hopeful about the whole process this time. They're understandably disappointed, but the power comes from the people, from the grassroots.
You use 2 terms that many viewers might think mean almost the same thing, which is armistice and peace treaty. What's the difference?
Armistice means that we are still practically, technically at war against North Korea. That's the state Korean people, on both sides of DMZ, have been living under. The hot war is not currently going on, but it can happen anytime. When that happens, that means the US and China, by treaties, are bound to assist South Korea and North Korea. That's a clash of two mighty powers. So yes, that armistice is different from peace treaty.
Well, there is one line of thinking that if you were to have a peace treaty right now, and if the North still had the makings of nuclear weapons, in the South there would still be less of a rationale, less justification for American troops. I have a feeling people here don't want to see that kind of a situation, but how do you feel?
I believe this has come out in the previous 2000 summit as well, but Korean people do not necessarily want US troops away from our Peninsula because we are still surrounded by mighty superpowers, Russia, China, Japan, all very, very powerful countries with a lot more power and population. So the U.S. presence really balance the power dynamics there. So I believe the consensus in South Korea is no troop removal from the Korean Peninsula.
This has been a news, and we're talking with Seung Hee Jeon from the Massachusetts Korea Peace Campaign. Professor, another thing that occurs to me, at the same time, Trump was in Vietnam with Kim Jong-un, the United States was cracking down on Iran. We're trying to maybe encourage regime change in Venezuela. I'm sure Kim Jong-un is aware of that too. What must be going through his mind when we're trying to get him to give up nuclear weapons?
Well, there are many things to think about, but one very important thing is we have to build a relationship, basically. It has been very hostile, and now it's moving toward more dialogue. And Kim Jong-un, I can't second guess what he must be thinking, but from his perspective, there are models like China, like Vietnam, which maintain their socialist government while they were opening up their economy. And from what people hear, that's what he has in mind, that he was hoping that sanctions would be slowly, gradually lifted while they were giving up their nuclear facilities. So going side by side, step by step, and gradually North Korea will prosper and without too much threat on his power.
If there were to be a situation when there was trust and there was free flow of people between North and South Korea, how do you think that would make life different?
Well, I believe many people are aware by now, but a lot of people in South Korea and North Korea are same families. I myself personally have relatives in North Korea. I have very close friends, dear friend who has her grandmother in North Korea whom she has never seen. These people in their 80s are hoping for this free
travel, at least, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Free travel to happen. So that's one element. Another element is hopefully regime change. You mentioned regime change, but regime change can happen only from inside constructively. That's what I feel and a lot of people feel. So if you are starving, you can't really begin to think about changing the regime. But if you are at least above that, and you can maybe bring about some change, and not necessarily overnight change, but gradually. And I believe we're seeing it in Vietnam, in China, and other places.
Thank you very much for being with us. Seung Hee Jeon, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have more news in just a moment.